And I will call this meeting to order at 6:01. So I'm 1 minute late, and then it's okay to be a little bit late, but not early. First on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for this question and ask you to vote electronically. We're having a slight electronic problem. Okay, we're gonna, there we are. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote aye. The agenda is approved. Next is our invocation, and tonight I'm extremely happy to say my friend Cynthia Wallace is here. Cynthia, if you could come forward and give our invocation.
Well, you guys know I always have to say something before I do this. I'm so thankful to have you guys on the board. I know that during these days that you have uncomfortable feelings, you put in uncomfortable situations, and life is not always great being a county commissioner. But I want you to know, as a citizen all my life of Putnam County, I truly appreciate you. But behind every good man is a good woman, and I'm most thankful for Miss Lynn.
Amen.
So if you will bow your heads, I will pray. Our gracious, heavenly, wonderful Father, we are so grateful for all of our blessings. We're grateful that you have placed us here in the most loving, kind county, Putnam County. Father, we ask that you guide everyone here tonight, give them wisdom, be with their thoughts, help them to understand and to open their ears and to listen. Father, these decisions that everybody here is making is not easy decisions, but Father, we know that your plan is easy. We know that your good for our county is easy. So Father, we are trusting in you, not man, but we are trusting in you, Father, to only give us good and wonderful blessings and to show favor to everyone here and to be present in our lives. We pray all of this in your precious Son's holy name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Cynthia. Next is our Pledge of Allegiance, and I'm going to call on Commissioner McElhaney. Would you lead us in our allegiance? Please stand, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Commissioner McElhaney. Next on the agenda is item number 5, and this is the zoning public hearing. I will ask the clerk to bring forward anyone that has signed in to speak on these items. And I know there's some, I already have one page, but it's on, these are all on 6. Anything on 5? These are all on item 6, so no one has signed in to speak on item 5, so we'll start with that. And let me put my glasses on so I can read it properly. This is a request by Bailey Lively, agent for Betty Weem, for conditional use at 671 Twin Bridge Road, presently zoned AG. This is map 057, parcel 010, in District 4. No one has signed in to speak on that, so I'll ask the staff for their recommendation from Planning and Zoning.
The applicant is here if you all would like to speak. She just didn't sign in.
Didn't sign in to speak, so.
Yeah. Totally up to you. I can move forward with the staff recommendation.
I have one question for the applicant.
Hold on, Mr. Attorney can, okay, we'll allow, if the applicant will come and sign the sheet right here, and the applicant can speak, and then Commissioner Hersey can ask a question. And you're for item number 5. And you probably didn't know about that, so that's okay. Thank you. So this is Bailey Lively. Bailey, go right ahead.
Thank you. Sorry for not signing in beforehand. My name's Bailey Lively. I'm here on behalf of APC Towers to present the proposed cell phone tower that will be about 255 feet tall, and it will be located within a 60 by 60 foot fenced compound that will have added landscaping around based on the zoning code, and we meet all the setbacks, and this will improve cell phone coverage in the area that has no to poor coverage, and improve E911 access, and as well as improve high-speed internet access, broadband access for the area. Any questions?
Commissioner Hersey, go ahead with your question.
It's just a curiosity question. The application states that you're going to broadcast at 4G. Why, I don't understand why, when all the ads for T-Mobile are 5G, the best 5G in the nation, coverage in the nation and all. Is the 4G simply to get better coverage as opposed to 5G, which is much shorter range?
That's right, yes. So the way the radio frequency engineers design the area, the 4G, you see 5G on the commercials, and in tighter areas, that's more for capacity when there's a ton of devices trying to connect in short range areas. But the way that wavelengths of the 5G technology work, it doesn't shoot as far out, so it doesn't provide as much coverage for the area. So a lot of times those designs will include both 4G and 5G technologies for more densely populated areas. But based on the coverage map for this location, 4G will provide better coverage for this area.
Other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is in District 4. Commissioner Wooten, I'll ask you for a motion. I'm sorry, not yet. My failure. Please, what is staff recommendation?
Staff recommendation is for approval for conditional use at 671 Twin Bridges Road, presently zoned AG, map 057, parcel 010, District 4.
No, that's all?
Yes,
This
sir.
is
No
your-
conditions.
Okay. Now then, District 4, how do you make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the request by Bailey Lively, agent for Betty Ween, for conditional use at 671 Twin Bridges Road, presently zoned Ag, map 057, parcel 010, and it's in my District 4.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there discussion? Yes, go ahead, Commissioner.
So just a question for staff, just for my edification. So I know the logic of putting this tower here is to improve coverage for residents. I also note that on the land use plan, this area is generally destined for increased residential occupancy. I know in our code, we discourage the location of cell towers in or near residential areas, but I guess there's a tension between more people live there, the more you need cell coverage, the more you need a cell tower located in that area versus not wanting a cell tower in a increasingly to be residential area. So I'm just curious how we think about that tension in a case like this.
So cell towers are allowed in the agriculture zoning district. However, they have to apply for conditional use. So it is zoned for the correct zoning classification, but it just has to have a conditional use in order to move forward with the cell tower itself.
No, I understand that. What I'm saying is, unless I'm wrong, looking at the land use plan, this area, and I think even this particular plot of land is envisaged to be residential. So it's that tension I'm talking about.
So you're speaking to surrounding and future land use for residential and how this could pose.
I'm just asking if this contradicts our intentions on the plan. Knowing that the plan is just a plan and it can change.
No, sir, it does not.
Oh, can you elaborate, or perhaps Ms. Lisa?
So of course, as you know, land use is future. So it would apply if they was actually rezoning. We would consider that they're not rezoning. The zoning is there. It's allowed by conditional use. So if there was rezoning to a zoning that was not allowed, that's where the comprehensive land use would come in play.
Right, but am I right that if this was granted, this property could not be zoned residential in the future?
So the area where the actual tower is, no, they would have to keep a minimum of 5 acres or whatever the requirement that they need for the tower. Right, it could not be because it would have to be zone ag.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions, Commissioner?
I'm very familiar with that part of the country right there. And where the tower is going to be placed, that's family land. It's probably about, I would say about 200 or 300 acres right there within that family where this thing's going to be placed. And I don't ever see that would be an residential place. Okay, across Twin Bridges, that is U.S. forest land, and that will never be made into residential. So I think we're in a pretty good place right there. Being familiar with the place and, being raised down that end of the county, I pretty much know everybody around there. And if we've got no complaints, I think this land will stay in the family because that land's been in this family ever since the 1600s, that I'm pretty sure of. So, thank you.
Other? Hearing none, we'll call for the question and vote electronically. The motion, I'll repeat, is the request by Bailey Lively, agent for Betty Weems, for a conditional use at 671 Twin Bridges Road, presently zoned AG, map 057, parcel 010 in District 4. Voting is complete. Districts 1, 2, 3, and 4 vote yea. The request is approved. Moving forward, number 6, this is a request by Rick McAllister, agent from Imperial Park Holdings, LLC, to rezone 3 acres at 301 New Phoenix Road from AG to C1. This is map 105, part of parcel 019, District 1. And before we have a lot of folks signed in, and the way this works is Rick McAllister will be first, and he will have 10 minutes. He is for. There is one that's against, and they'll have 10 minutes, and that is Sharon Callahan, and she'll be next. So Rick, if you'll come forward.
Rick McAllister, 1341 Beverly Drive, Athens, Georgia. First, I'd like to state that this zoning amendment request has received a recommendation to approve from not only staff, but also the Planning and Zoning Commission last week. The site is located at the intersection of Old and New Phoenix Road with an area of approximately 3 acres. Surrounding land uses include C1 and AG. Proposed access includes curb cuts on existing New Phoenix and Old Phoenix Road. This requested zoning is an extension of C1. What I mean by an extension of C1, of all the available intersections to rezone on this road, 2 of them are already rezoned. 1 is not applicable to rezone, so this is the last corner. So this is an extension of C1 zoning located in this area. The intended land use for the property is a convenience store with fuel pumps. I've attached a conceptual plan within the zoning packet for your review and a conceptual layout of the interior roads. Our traffic study does recommend lane adjustments to Old and New Phoenix to get it in and out of the convenience store. And given the limitations of available water and sewer, we plan to utilize on-site well and septic systems for the infrastructure adjustments. I wanted to also mention that the majority, if not all, of the street intersections within a 3-mile radius of this intersection contains some sort of commercial zoning. I'd like to reserve the rest of my time for a rebuttal and will answer any questions you may have at this time.
Thank you. You have 8 minutes reserved.
Thank you.
As we said before, Sharon Callahan, if you could come forward, please. And you have up to 10 minutes, or you can reserve also.
Thank you. Good evening.
I'm sorry. No reserve. I'm sorry, there's no reserve.
Why do I
In other
need
words,
to
you don't have rebuttal. You have 10 minutes.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Sharon Callahan. Sorry. And I'm both a resident of Phoenix Crossing and a member of the HOA Board. I am here tonight to respectively oppose the request from Imperial Park Holdings, LLC, to rezone the parcel 019 from AG to C1. On August 7th, Mr. McAllister presented this request to the Zoning Board, which approved it with conditions. This statement of use, he acknowledged that the property is directly adjacent to Phoenix Crossing, a growing community of more than 120 homes, and that the proposed C1 use could impact us. Yet, despite this, he quickly minimized those impacts and focused instead on traffic and general concerns. It's been argued that you may not have a choice but to approve this because of 2 other C1 properties that exist nearby. Precedent requires approval unless all 8 conditions for commercial development are not met. Precedent is not always absolute, because on November 23rd, a rezoning request on New Phoenix Road was denied by the Zoning Board, and yet subsequently was approved by the commissioners. Importantly, these 2 C1 parcels have not been developed. You do have a choice. Putnam CCO should guide this decision. Its purpose is to protect the health, safety, environment, and residents' quality of life. The code specifically prohibits fuel and gas distribution within a 50-foot distance of a residential boundary and states that the code should be liberally construed. Maps were given to you showing that the proposed pumps fall well under the 500-foot distance. The code clearly intends to protect neighborhoods such as ours from the exact type of development as this. Beyond that, not all 8 conditions have been satisfied. We have seen no evidence of compliance with ADA requirements, landscaping, erosion control, fire and safety measurements, or vegetation protection. Approving rezoning now risks approving an incomplete and harmful plan. The residents of Phoenix Crossing and many across Putnam County strongly feel that a 5,000 square foot convenience store with 8 gas pumps and 5 diesel pumps would diminish, not enhance, our quality of life. You do have a choice. In conclusion, while some may say you have no choice, you always do. On behalf of Phoenix Crossing and the surrounding communities, I respectfully urge you to deny this request. However, if approved, we ask that the submitted recommendations that we have given you be included as additional conditions for this zoning. I reserve my remaining time. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving along, and we have several folks signed up to speak, and I will go straight down the line as signed in. Susan Mitchell. Susan, could you come forward, please?
Hi, good evening. I'm Susan Mitchell. I'm the president of the HOA board for Phoenix Crossing. So the purpose of the code of ordinance is to protect the quality of life, as Sharon stated, and it should be followed. Approving the rezoning would diminish the quality of life for the residents of Phoenix Crossing and the surrounding communities. The commission decided to rezone the second parcel on Old Phoenix Road, which created the precedent you now have referenced. Without that decision, there would be no precedent to cite. The residents of Phoenix Crossing, along with many others, strongly oppose this rezoning and believe we deserve better from our commissioners than the approval of a C1 designation for this property. We have a large contingency here from Phoenix Crossing behind me that are opposed of this, and we wanted to make sure that we were visible for you all to see. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Barb Vargo. Barb?
Okay. I see a nightmare when we're talking, these could be 3 gas stations on one intersection. I see a nightmare there. What I do approve, and I think is good help, is when the zoning says, and I thought it was in here, but that it has to be used for what they're saying they're going to use it for, or we could revert it back to what it was. I think this is about time that we do things like this, because I don't like the idea that we have got 2 of them zoned and nothing's being done on them, but this guy puts his gas station in this instance, oh, I'm going to be competition and put my gas station in, and then we get a 3rd one. We're talking to in business-wise here, and I'm thinking, well, 3 of them would be like, you know, stabbing each other in the back, but 2 of them could be a nightmare. I approve of the fact that they are saying this is recommended, and if they don't build it, it should be reverted back. They did this on another section where I had somebody come in and he wanted to build houses, and he didn't get it done in time because of financial reasons, and he had to come back here and rezone agricultural back into doing it, and because he didn't get it done in time. To me, that tells me that they're going to do what they say they're going to do. That's what I want to see. I don't want it becoming, okay, this is commercial. Somebody said, okay, I'm going to make this a storage building because it's easy to get a yes to. And the next thing you know, it stays there vacant. And the next thing you know, 8 years from now, we got different people up here, maybe. And nobody remembers that this was supposed to be this, and now we put another gas station in. So before we think about all this, you know, I agree there could be a good place for a gas station, but let's not make it 3 of them, okay? Look at what has already been done and think to yourself, okay, you know, because they're going to come back and say, well, if you don't approve this, we're going to have lawyers in here and we're going to sue the sin out of you. That to me is kind of makes me upset. I mean, I don't want to hear this kind of thing that if you don't do what we say you're going to do, we'll take you to court. What I'm saying is if it's going to be done, if they're going to say they're going to make it this, make it this. And then think about the other areas there before we even get that can, because nobody's said anything, become gas stations. So now I see 3 of them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Joy Wood. Joy? You have an
Joe.
armful.
Yeah, just real quick, just got a couple of points. I do not want a gas station in my backyard. Just for a couple of reasons. One, EPA says that local gas stations are the leading cause of ground contamination, up until last year even. And secondly is air quality. It's proven already, and I can send you these stats too, that people living within a certain radius of a gas station are exposed to significantly higher amounts of what's called benzene, which is a known carcinogen. And I'd appreciate if you did not let my kids be exposed to that. Also, too, the traffic. The way our neighborhood is, if you put a gas station on the corner, people will be turning around through our entrance. My kids, the reason we picked our neighborhood is because it's very family friendly. They like to ride their bicycles around, play basketball, whatever. I won't have to tell them they can't because there's too much traffic. People driving in who don't know that area, it's going to cause trouble. And lastly, too, there's a good chance that everybody on Megan and on Garrett is going to lose 10% of their home value. So that, for me, it's about 30 to 40 grand. So that's all.
Thank you. Next on the list is Lynn Youngblood. Lynn?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I reside at Phoenix Crossing. I also serve on the HOA. I was before this board last year when the property across the street was for storage buildings. As soon as y'all approved it, guess what? For sale sign, no storage buildings. Anybody can come in here now. So I was extremely disappointed with this board last time. Dr. Hersey was the only one who acted like he even cared. I know commercial property brings in more taxes than residential and ag. We are people. We're not just numbers. And we damn sure ain't a dollar sign. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Don Sadler. Don?
Good afternoon. I'm hearing that the residents say that there's an ordinance that says this is not allowed. And I hear that our attorney says that it is. I don't have much faith in our attorney following the code of ethics. So before y'all do anything with this, ask the attorney to give his ordinance cite so you can check it with the other one. Because we have had a lot of issues with Adam and Paul violating the code of ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is Maria Sign, and I hope I'm saying that correct.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak in front of you. And I also live in Phoenix Crossing. I'm here with my husband, Terry. And of course, as you know, that it is the community near the property where, which is under consideration for a zoning change for a possible gas station and convenience store. I'd like to share some concerns about this proposal and why I believe it is not in the best interest of our community. First, environmental concerns. Gas stations carry a significant risk of fuel leaks, which can contaminate groundwater. We all rely on well water, and this could impact our drinking water. The site would also add air pollution, storm water runoff, and constant light pollution to our area that is now clean, quiet, and dark at night. Second, community character. We live in a serene countryside setting. A large gas station open late into the night would bring nonstop noise, bright lights, and heavy traffic. This directly conflicts with the peaceful natural environment that residents value and is probably the main reason many people move there. Third, traffic and safety. Increased car traffic on our rural roads raises concerns for local families and children, as was already stated. It could also impact negatively on our property values. Fourth, economic need. There's already a gas station convenience store just several miles down the road. Adding another does not serve a real community need. In closing, I urge you to consider what makes our community unique, its beauty, its serenity, and its rural character. An 8-pump gas station and store does not belong here. I respectfully ask that you protect our neighborhood and deny this rezoning request.
Thank you. Next on the list, and I'm moving to page 2, Billy Webster. Billy?
Chairman, would it be possible for the clerk to bring up the first picture that's in the packet?
We're checking.
Thank you. Commissioners, staff, thank you for this opportunity.
this?
This is it right here. This is the map that is called the Future Land Use Plan, which is part of the 2022 Joint Comprehensive Plan that was approved by the Board of Commissioners on the 2nd of September of 2022. You'll notice that the future use is for residential at that area that's under question. This board, not this board, a previous board voted to approve that Joint Comprehensive Land Use Plan, of which this map is part of. And if I could, I'd like to read for the minutes. This is agenda item number 11, and it's read from the minutes of the September 2nd, 2022 meeting. It says, authorization for the chairman to sign the resolution adopting the Joint Comprehensive Plan, of which this map is part of. Motion to authorize the chairman to sign the resolution adopting the Joint Comprehensive Plan update. Motion made by Commissioner Wooten, seconded by Commissioner the late Gary McElhenney. Voting yea, Commissioner the late Gary McElhenney, Commissioner Brown, Commissioner Sharp, and Commissioner Wooten. That means that 2 sitting members of this board voted less than 3 years ago to adopt the Joint Comprehensive Land Use Plan, of which this map is part of. It says that parcel is to be for future use, residential only. Now, I know that all of you have reviewed the packet as far as the traffic study, but just for the sake of the live streaming audience, let me just read the conclusions and recommendations. This study meets the requirement of the Putnam County Traffic Impact Study in that it assesses and projects the impact of this development on existing infrastructure based on the projected site plan included. As noted above, get this, both a right turn lane and a left turn lane is warranted on Old Phoenix and New Phoenix Road. Can y'all imagine what it's going to look like at that intersection with 2 throughs, a left turn and a center turn lane? I would respectfully ask that you consider following the plan. If you're not going to follow the plan, which is less than 3 years old, you ought to damn well change it.
Next on the list is Aaron Olson. Aaron?
Good evening, Commissioners. The applicant has asked for a convenience store. So let's see what the code says about convenience stores and about definitions. So it's been brought up to me that it should be an automobile service station or a service station. Well, that can't be right because in the definition it says this use may include an accessory convenience store. What's an accessory? An accessory, by the definition in the code, says it means a subordinate building or use which is customarily incidental to the principal use of the building and is located on the same lot. The convenience store is not a secondary or an accessory. It's the principal use. Could it be the fuel, oil, gas distribution definition? It means that the use that distribute fuel or oil, bottled gas, such as propane or liquid petroleum for compensation. Maybe not. They sell bottled gas, maybe. But however, let's look at the truck stop definition. The truck stop means a facility for the sale of gasoline and related products for primary use by trucks with more than 4 wheels and 2 axles. Such facilities may include, if internal to the structure, restaurant areas for bathing and retail sales of convenience goods. That's a pretty good one. So now let's look at the definition of a convenience store. Convenience store means a use primarily engaged in the provision of frequent or reoccurrently needed goods for household consumption such as prepackaged food, beverages, newspapers, and limited household supplies to customers who generally purchase only a few items. This may be limited for food preparation, but the last sentence is kind of interesting. Only fuel pumps for the selling of fuel for motor vehicles are permitted, okay? The Code of Ordinance, when you start reading it, it makes a difference between motor vehicles and it doesn't mean commercial vehicles. So if you're gonna rezone this property, you should include a condition that only a convenience store be allowed and cannot sell fuel to vehicles with more than 2 axles. This is what they applied for. That's our definition of a convenience store. We're being told that this convenience store will sell diesel. What it really is by definition is a truck stop. You know why they don't want a truck stop? Because a truck stop has to be 1,000 feet from residential. Not 500, not 100, 1,000. The auto service stations has to be 100 feet from residential. Fuel, oil, gas distribution has to be 500.
Thank you. Next on the list is Jennifer Ray. Jennifer?
Good evening. While a gas station and convenience store can provide many benefits, these establishments can have severe effect on human health, property value, and other quality of life aspects when allowed too close to homes or other inappropriate locations. Is it safe to live near a gas station? A number of compounds adverse to human health are released from gas stations during vehicle fueling from underground storage tank vents. These compounds include benzene, toluene, ethylbenzene, and xylene. Benzene is a volatile aromatic hydrocarbon which is extremely harmful to human health. Adverse health effects of benzene include nausea, cancer, anemia, increased susceptibility to infections, and low birth weight. Center for Disease Control and Prevention website states living near gasoline fueling stations or hazardous waste sites may increase exposure to benzene. There is decades, and I'm not talking 1 or 2 decades, I'm talking decades and decades of research documents to the extent of benzene releases from gas stations as well as adverse health effects. A 1993 study published by Canadian Petroleum Industry found the average benzene concentration of 146 and 461 parts per billion at the gas station property boundary in summer and winters, respectively. A 2001 study noted median ambient benzene levels of 1.9 parts per billion in houses up to 328 feet from a service station. A 2003-2004 study conducted in France documented a significant relationship between childhood leukemia and living near a gas station. A 2010 study conducted in Spain documented elevated air pollutions within 328 feet of a gas station. In 2012, Brazilian researchers found that the air quality was significantly degraded up to 492 feet from gas stations. The U.S. Environment Protection Agency echoed concerns about health risks associated with gas station emissions in school siting guidelines. A 2019 study of U.S. gas stations found that benzene emissions from underground gasoline storage tanks vents were sufficiently high to constitute a health concern at a distance up to 524 feet. Emissions were also 10 times higher than estimates used in setback regulations. So there is control measures, but you know what? I can send you it. They're basically not adequate, but for time, I'm going to get to it. So the important thing here is the conclusion of these studies is you cannot rely on control measures. Macon, Georgia recently denied a similar request last summer and held a 500 feet distance rule. So there's plenty of land available in this county without authorizing a gas station in the front yard of a residential subdivision. Do what is right for the health, safety, and welfare of your citizens. This really, honestly, should not be a difficult decision, and if it is, I have serious concerns about all of you.
That will conclude all of the discussion from the field. So now we're coming to the staff recommendations. So staff, could you come forward and give us your recommendation? Hold on a second. I'm sorry? Oh, that's right. Rick does have rebuttal time. Rick, do you want to use your rebuttal time now? I believe there was 8 minutes left. I think that's what I said.
Yes, I would like to use my rebuttal time. I really appreciate it. A lot of good points, and I appreciate the interest in this county for zoning matters. As you know, I've done a lot of zoning in this county, and I go by the code. I go by the code what is today. I go by what's read in the code. I go by the definitions in the code, and I try not to stray too much from the code, but sometimes gray areas exist. So, first of all, I want to mention something about Ms. Callahan's comment. The definition of a convenience store and a fuel oil distribution center are totally different. Fuel oil distribution center is something more larger containers, larger structures, meant for distribution to other gas stations. This is a convenience store with fuel pumps. The 500-foot distance doesn't apply in this location, and there's been precedent set with this for the last convenience store I rezoned here on Old Phoenix. That backs right up to residential scenario. So by reading your code as it exists today, this is a convenience store with fuel pumps, not a fuel oil and a propane gas distribution center. I want to mention about the quality of life that was noted here. I believe this board has the responsibility to balance quality of life of the residents, of course, but also with the property owner rights. And I know what the comprehensive plan says, but there's a lot of precedent set on what has been done in the past for this area. When you have a zoning scenario that already been rezoned C1 across the street on every single corner, you are telling the property owner next door, hey, you just can't do this. Everybody else can, but you can't do this. We'll do it up the road. We'll do it on the other two corners, but you have to be able to balance the property owner's rights in this situation. The comprehensive plan, and I'm going to read this introduction to the comprehensive plan. The Joint Comprehensive Plan for Putnam County and City of Eatonton was adopted October 22nd. It meets the minimum standards and procedures for local comprehensive planning set by Georgia Department of Community Affairs. The goal of this plan is to serve as a guiding document for the physical development and guide to land use in Putnam County and the City of Eatonton. This plan is a living document capable of being amended, updated, improved to provide flexible framework for development across this county. This plan was built around details, the vision, goals, and needs, opportunities, and current and future land use. I want to mention that current land use. This plan is a living document. It gets changed when you zone an area commercial. Okay, this plan is a guide, and it says right here the goal is to follow current zoning scenarios. You have a situation, a decision on your hands that are you going to allow an area that is turning commercial to one piece of it, the only last corner left? You're going to tell this property owner, no, you can't do it? That's your prerogative, but I will tell you, you're setting a precedent that has been totally opposite for every other convenience store and commercial property that has been zoned in this county. I appreciate the opportunity to look at this, and I hope you would heed the recommendation from the staff, which incidentally includes, I believe, an intended use clause that Ms. Vargo mentioned. And look at your staff report. Understand what your planning and zoning people reviewed. We went through this in length. I appreciate the opportunity, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. I'm sorry I had called on planning and zoning a little early there. But now then, I'll ask the staff recommendation from planning and development.
Given the rapid growth currently occurring in Putnam County, it is likely that other landowners with property at high visibility intersections will also seek a C1 rezoning. Without an updated comprehensive plan to address the major intersections, the county may face a steady stream of rezoning requests, which increases the risk of incompatible land uses, traffic congestion, and may have an adverse effect on community character. it is imperative that Putnam County implement a coordinated land use plan to address commercial development at major intersections. This will ensure that decisions are made with long-term goals, supporting compatible growth while preserving the character of existing residential neighborhoods. Furthermore, staff recommends that the Board of Commissioners, 1, conduct a comprehensive assessment of major intersections throughout the county, particularly those located along primary arterial roads. 2, formulate a list of community-compatible uses appropriate for development at each intersection. 3, adopt this list and incorporate overlay districts for these key intersections, thereby providing clear expectations for future rezonings and balancing the intersections of both residents and other property owners. This process will create consistency, improve public trust, and allow the county to accommodate growth while preserving the character of its communities. Subject to the same, staff recommends approval of the rezoning request subject to the following conditions. 1, the property must be used for the purpose stated in the filed application unless approved by the Board of Commissioners. 2, the developer shall install both a right turn lane and left turn lane on Old Phoenix and New Phoenix Road per state and local guidelines. 3, this rezoning action shall be conditioned upon the resurveying and recordation in the Superior Court of Putnam County of an accurate plat within 120 days of approval by the Board of Commissioners. A copy of the recorded plat shall be filed with the Planning and Development Department Director. Failure to file a plat pursuant to this subsection shall have the effect of invalidating the rezoning action. 4, failure to abide by the stated conditions shall cause the property to revert to the agricultural designation. That is all.
Okay, we'll ask for a motion and then have a discussion, of course.
Mr. Chairman, although this property is in District 1, it does have very definite impacts on District 3, and therefore I would like to enter a motion, and I move to deny the application for rezoning of this 3 acres.
Hold on just a second. I understand I'm not required to take District 1 first, so there is a motion on the floor to deny. Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to deny. Is there discussion? Commissioner Hersey made the motion, so he has the...
I think the members of the public have made some very strong points. It is unclear to me that this is an improvement in that area. The future land use plan does, in fact, as former Chairman Webster has stated, indicate that this area should be retained as a residential area. And I agree with that, unless this board conducts a change in the comprehensive plan, it should abide by what has already been approved. In terms of the 3 acres, we know that Imperial Park Holdings actually owns 30 acres approximately in that whole area, and this is only a part of that 30 acres that is just 3 acres. I see no reason why Imperial Park Holdings is not going to come back to the board and say, well, our 3 acres are zoned commercial, our neighbors are zoned commercial, all 30 acres ought to be zoned commercial, and all of a sudden we have a further encroachment into the residential area. The concept that because a parcel is rezoned commercial, should the next parcel be also rezoned commercial? That just does not comply. We know that the northwest corner property was erroneously rezoned commercial based on putting in storage buildings, which never occurred. There was a tremendous outpouring of residents in the area against that rezoning. The rezoning on the northeast corner of that to commercial, I don't know when that occurred. It was some years ago, but it's still a vacant field. I mean, nothing has happened there. While legally this board cannot reverse a zoning, if we grant a commercial zoning, we can't reverse it back to agriculture or residential. I mean, it just is legally not permissible. But what we can do is apply properties for conditional use, as we did in the previous action. If the owner of the property does not comply with the condition of use within a certain period of time, and we need to change the ordinance to specify what that time limit would be, it automatically stays, that conditional use disappears. If the conditional use is abandoned for a period of 12 months, that conditional use disappears. But we don't rezone. In District 3, zoning just does not work. I mean, there are too many allowed uses in every zone to, fit a land use plan, if you will, for at least for District 3 and perhaps for all of the Lake Oconee, Lake Sinclair areas. I mean, we just need to somehow change it. And hopefully, in one of our agenda items later on, we will schedule a work session to talk about these issues. But there is one other issue I did want to talk about, and that is the business of contamination of soil. Now, this application says, well, we're not going to use much water, so we're going to depend upon wells and a septic system but everybody knows that if you have a fuel station, a gas station, as I call it, and I guess I need legally to refer to it as a gasoline station in order for our county attorney to be satisfied that I'm talking about the right thing. You wash down the pavement. Where does that water go? Where does it go with all the spilled fuel that's on the ground on top of that pavement? And we know concrete is porous, asphalt is porous. These things get into the soil. I have personal knowledge of an environmental engineering firm that is currently operating to reclaim the soil that's been contaminated in a filling station over in Jackson, one of Mr. Jones Petroleum's outfits. And that same engineering firm has done remediation of many, many gas stations. We have right here in Eatonton what I think it's still Schwimmer's gas station. On the corner there of Jefferson and just at the red light by the courthouse. That has so contaminated the soil that the house next to it cannot be lived in. I mean, these things happen. And I don't care if you have a double-walled plastic fuel tank, somehow, over the years, those things leak. In addition, the contamination just from leakage into the pavement can contaminate the soil. And if the residents in Phoenix Crossing are utilizing wells, I hope that you get your wells tested frequently if this thing goes through. Anyway, the other final problem I have with it is that the condition that staff has put on it to say that unless approved by the Board of Commissioners, well, what would the Board of Commissioners approve? Are we going to, I mean, I don't know what the actual plan is. Is this a gas station? Is it a truck stop? Will they have canopies that are sufficiently tall to allow an 18-wheel tractor trailer to fuel at this place? I don't know what the plan is, or what conditions can be held. But I do know that it may be a legal problem for this board to change the conditions under which this application may be approved. And I don't want to get into that legal issue with them. The bottom line is that commercial properties adjacent to a rezoning application parcel is not a legitimate excuse for rezoning. The only legitimate uses for rezoning are if it meets future land use plan and is consistent with the land uses, and providing that the residents surrounding that property are in agreement with the allowed use. So it's going to be a long evening, Mr. Chairman.
You finished?
For the moment.
You have one other time. Commissioner Garrett, you have asked for the floor.
Please, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I take issue with the idea that simply because a previous iteration of this board voted to zone an adjacent parcel commercial, that somehow means we have to zone every comparable parcel commercial if so desired. I wasn't on the board at that time, and I don't know the ins and outs of the case, but the idea that this is a high visibility intersection, I drive through it many, many times. It seems to be a rather low visibility intersection to me. It still has rural character. You know, it's a little, you know, there are things on there that aren't necessarily of that character, but overall, the surrounding area. I mean, it's near the Turmoil Plantation. It's on the Alice Walker driving tour. I don't think a gas station complements that setting. I don't get any impression that we're short of gas stations or that the residents around there need a gas station in closer proximity to where they live. I mean, the mere fact that we are debating this issue, the mere fact that the applicant has to come before us means that we do have a choice. We're not bound by past precedent. The mere fact that staff are asking us to revisit the plan and come up with new guidance for intersections means that we can change our mind. I think the vote last year to approve C1 for that parcel was a mistake, and I see no sense in doubling down on a mistake. And yes, I agree that the land use plan is merely a guide. It is indeed a living document. We just, in the previous item, decided that a property that the land plan indicated would be residential over time, we would put a cell town there. But I can see the logic. Residents were in favor of that. No one was speaking against it. A number spoke in favor, certainly at the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. No resident has come and spoke in favor of this initiative today, and dozens and probably dozens who aren't here are against it. So I just don't see any good reason other than the applicant's commercial interest in approving this application.
Other comments or Commissioner Wooten?
I'd just like to say one thing. As far as the diesel pumps being there, I'm manager at Lake Oconee Rental, and there are very few places that when people bring equipment back, that they can pull in and fill the equipment up with diesel. There's the farms that are around there. They can run up there and get them 5 gallons of diesel to run the farm tractor. And when the people bring the equipment back, in Milledgeville, we charge $8 a gallon to fill that a piece of equipment back up. When they can get it for $3.50, $3.60, $3.75, something like that. I'm not sure. It depends on where you go. So I'm not sure that it would turn into what people say a truck stop. It's more when you say a convenience store, it's a convenience to everybody out there. It's rural, yeah. Well, that's what we're looking for. It's convenience for the people to run up there and fill the tractor or truck up with diesel right quick. Not ain't saying big truck. Maybe somebody's coming through. Because there's a lot of it's more diesel pickups now than I've ever seen. But that's just my thoughts on it. Thank you.
Commissioner McElhaney, it's in your district, and I'd like to hear from you.
Thank you. So I've gotten a lot of phone calls on this, a lot against and some for. So you kind of have to weigh a lot of that. You have to weigh the property owner's rights as well. There is precedent set, and so you kind of have to, you got to weigh both sides of this. I don't necessarily have a problem with something like that being there. Now, I am amenable to some very large conditions, as I've spoken to some of you about, and would have no problem recommending that. But I don't think this is going to be the monster that a lot of people envision it will be. I was in this same situation several years ago with the city of Eatonton, and I was pretty upset about it. But if the property owner has met all the ordinances as required by the county, then we have to give them the opportunity to be treated just like everybody else is treated anywhere else. That's why I appreciate the fact staff saying, hey, we probably need to look at this. I hate that it's come to this point. We would probably have served ourselves well to look at it before now. But I think you really have to understand zoning and what you can and cannot do and what you should and shouldn't do. I'm all about property owners' rights, including the one asking for the rezoning. So I think the best opportunity that we have is to come to some sort of compromise with conditions. And if it were to pass, I would certainly have a lot more conditions to put on it than what staff has.
I want to say something too. The comp plan is reviewed, I believe, every 5 years. The comp plan is due to be, it's due the October of 2027, and the plans, I talked with Laura Mathis from the Middle Georgia Regional Commission today, and this time next year we will start the review and reworking the comp plan. And that also goes for the, I'm forgetting the initials, but the SDS is also reviewed at that time. And that starts this time next year. So that is in the works, and that happens. I believe that Phoenix Crossing, where I used to live, actually gets water from Piedmont Water, and Piedmont does use wells. I will say that. I don't know where the well is that supplies them, but Piedmont Water does supply it. I don't think they have individual wells but I do believe that Piedmont supplies that water and also the sewer. Also, and the attorney can correct me, but I do believe that zoning can be reversed. Is that right, Mr. Attorney?
Well, specifically the question, you can zone property one way and then rezone it again as long as you go through the Zoning Procedures Act. Under our ordinances for conditional uses, we don't specify what the conditional use is. I've had this conversation with Commissioner Hersey. I would believe that the condition, I think he's referring to number 4 of the proposed staff condition, would be upheld by a court. I would grant that there are some ordinance revisions that I think would make this clearer, but to the question that you've asked, Mr. Chairman, you can change zoning. As long as you go through the Zoning Procedures Act, zoning can be changed.
That was the point
repeatedly.
I was trying to make. So, other discussions? Yes, Commissioner.
I also have a question for the attorney. So this notion that a previous iteration of this body approved an adjacent parcel to be rezoned commercial, and there seems to be some dispute in the audience about the extent to which that obliges this board to make a similar decision in this case. Could you opine on that, please?
Yes, sir. So, under your ordinances, you have established a set of factors that you will determine whether or not a property should be rezoned based on the request given. It's in section 66-165, subsection D. And in that section, you've listed, you as a body and the other bodies before you have listed out 9 different factors that you're supposed to apply whenever someone asks for a rezoning of property. Several of those factors have been discussed in different ways, but no one of those controls over the other. So to your question, you're not obliged to make a decision based off of a neighboring parcel's recent change. I do think it may weigh, depending on the change, in favor of one of those factors or not. Ultimately, those factors are the decision, those are the points that you're supposed to make your decision based off of. I would suggest that one of those factors includes number 1 is the proposed use consistent with the stated purpose of the district. 2 is the proposed use suitable in view of the zoning and development of adjacent and nearby property. So the number 2, if there's an adjoining property that's consistent with that use, it would tend to weigh in favor of that. But that is just one factor, and ultimately that decision comes down to you as members of the Board of Commissioners. So there is no obligation one way or the other. It's just that those are the factors, and you are supposed to weigh those factors and make a decision accordingly.
Thank you. And that was, I was hoping that was the answer you're going to give me, because in my sense, every parcel is different, every situation is different, and there's no point having this board if we just blindly follow a precedent. Why bring it before us? Clearly, it has to be brought before us because a decision has to be made on this particular case. Thank you.
I do want to point out one other thing. Additional conditions can be added to what staff has recommended. Okay, other comments? Commissioner Hersey.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, first of all, in response to the gentleman from the 4th District commentary, I believe you can get diesel at most any filling station. I mean, I used to have a diesel van, and I never had any trouble finding diesel. If you have a piece of equipment on a trailer that you're returning to a rental, I mean, you can easily pull into a filling station and fill it up. And you're saying that number 2 diesel is not adequate for a piece of equipment? I mean, I think that it is. But let me also observe that once a plat is approved and filed, it grants the property owner property rights. And if we want to change the condition or reverse the zoning on a piece of property, once the owner has acquired property rights, we are in a legal mess. That's the fact. up until the time that that plat is recorded, property rights are not granted. But once that plat is recorded in the courthouse, then the property owner has property rights. So well, if we're going to revise, and we can revise the comprehensive plan, you know, on a timely, but actually you can revise the comprehensive plan anytime you want. You don't have to wait every 5 years, as long as the city is in agreement with it. But we have not revised the comprehensive plan as of today. It still points to this area as being a residential future land use plan, okay? So this application is against the future land use plan. And I'm telling you that as soon as 3 acres are rezoned commercial, the other 25 acres are 26 acres are going to be applied for commercial rezoning on the basis that, well, my neighboring property is rezoned commercial. Why can't I also get a commercial rezoning? Anyway, I am definitely opposed to this application and will vote against it.
We have 2 commissioners that still have 1 time. You're good? We call for the question and we'll vote. You've had 2 times. You can't speak, but you can call for the question.
Don't speak more than twice?
No. The ordinance says twice. 2 times. Mr. Attorney, clarify that. They can speak twice on them.
It's not an ordinance, it's Robert's Rules of Order. We have gotten away from time to time from Robert's Rules of Order, but I think previously we've tried to hold to 2, but it's subject to the will of the board. If you want to remain following Robert's Rules of Order, if you want to suspend those rules, you certainly could, but I think we have previously tried to do that. I don't know that I would say that we've not always held true to that, nor some of the other requirements of Robert's Rules, but
I believe it is up to the chairman to extend debate if he chooses to do so.
yes, sir.
I don't choose to extend debate. We've talked it down, so let's, somebody call for the question and we will move forward. I can call for the question. I'll do that. We have a motion on the floor. The motion on the floor, and I will read it, is to deny the request by Rick McAllister, agent for Imperial Park Holdings LLC, to rezone 3 acres at 301 New Phoenix Road from AG to C1, map 105, part of parcel 019 in District 1. You can vote electronically.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
that on the board is to approve.
No, it has been made to deny.
Okay. Okay.
The motion is to deny. Wait a minute, I voted wrong. I'm having difficulty. Now then. Voting is complete. That motion is denied. Now then, we can go back and look at 6 and talk about the request by McAllister and see if there's some things. District 1, it's to you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move that we table this agenda item for consideration of additional conditions.
The motion to table, no discussion is required on that motion, so I'll call for a verbal vote. Oh, I'm sorry, I need a second to table it until we can read it rampant.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to table. Now we vote. No discussion on this. And we'll do verbal. 1.
Aye.
2, to table.
Mr.
Nay.
Chairman, make sure that I understand, if we table this, we can bring it back
That's correct.
to any time we want, without any additional, well, we'll have further discussion at the time we bring it,
Correct.
if and when we ever bring it back.
Correct. District 2, how do you vote?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4? Aye. This motion is tabled until we've had an opportunity to work on it. So we'll move right along, and I will now close the zoning public hearing and open the budget public hearing. Budget public hearing, presentation of the proposal. Paul or Jennifer will make a presentation.
Okay, you got the slides up?
Jennifer or Paul, who's going to make the presentation?
So, as we discussed at the last meeting, we are still working with a preliminary budget from the tax assessor and tax commissioner at this time. What I can say is that the numbers that you were presented will be the numbers of the budget. We will also be implementing the full rollback rate based on the scenario of the preliminary budget being finished, or if the preliminary budget happens to change, the citizens will still see the full rollback rate. And as of today, we were hoping that the computer software, Harris, would be ready to generate these bills or generate the digest, but here we are 7, almost 8 weeks after the fact, so these are preliminary. Next slide, please. So here's the mill rate history based on what we're talking about. You saw that at the last meeting. That's not going to change, other than the numbers on the rollback for us may change, but we're anticipating the full rollback rate. So next slide, please. The mill rate again is projected and it's preliminary at that number. We'll see what happens once it's finished. Next slide, please. All right, there we go. So we're talking about the local option sales tax. Whoop, there we go. Okay, revenue from the tax digest, we're looking at a little over 14.6 million. It's essentially a 2% change. Next slide, please. Okay. The local option sales tax projections are $4.8 million for the proposed year. You can see the steady increase over time. Next slide. Okay, so if I were to fulfill all the budget requests that were offered to you all, the fund balance would be down to $2 million. And typically we'll like to stay a little above, a little below 10 million ideally. And the reason for maintaining a strong fund balance is exactly what I talked about earlier. Should the preliminary digest not come within the next week or not come within the next month, tax collections will be impacted drastically, and we will need to operate the county for as long as needed until those bills and those receipts are captured. Next slide, please. So the fund balance on the proposed budget puts us at about $10 million. We've been pretty level and consistent, 2021 being an anomaly with COVID funds and things like that, but we have maintained that range pretty consistently. Next slide. So general revenues and expenditures, things have cost more, things have gone up. We've tried to manage revenues and expenses the best way we could this year. That's showing we're taking $1.1 million out of the fund balance. Those are conservative numbers, and I'm hoping with some of these changes that those lines will become closer together with the changes from the tax digest. Next slide. So as you can see, based on the category of spending, public safety is the largest user of the budget. They get almost half of it. Judicial, general government, development, culture, recreation, public works. So that's how the pie gets split. Next slide. Your three largest categories are general government, public safety, public works. That has not changed. We have been trending up. We are getting bigger. We are trying to gather more employees. Employees cost money. Next slide. General fund revenues and expenditures. They've typically held that we've come in at budget or under budget for the last 5 years, actually longer than that. So we try to maintain the workforce and the operation of the county with the funds allotted, and everybody from the elected, appointed officials all work to bring that number in under budget. Next. County positions. I'd love to have more sheriff's deputies. I would take 15 to 20. I know Howard couldn't be happier, but here we are. We're not increasing in dramatic jumps. Things have been pretty consistent. In the last 5 years, we've gone up just probably under 50, 45, 50 people. Next slide. The Special Service District is relatively new. As you see that we have carved up that section, the Special Service District is funded with specific tax revenue dollars for people in the unincorporated area of the county. Right now we're at 0.4. I am recommending that we go to 0.6. Next slide, please. So the special service expenditures, you see that all the things that it gets paid for out of that fund: code enforcement, planning and development, the library, seniors, recycling, animal services for the city, animal services for the county, and the RDC, or the regional development fees, I'm sorry. Next slide. Oh, that's it. So as you saw in the last meeting and then this one, we've kind of broken down the budget in a couple different things. I am interested in, when we get ready to start changing some of the budget forecasts and budget revenues. Dr. Hersey had one item that it was increasing short-term rental fees for code enforcement. The amount, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure he'll share it. His proposed change would generate roughly $81,000 for the Special Service District. Also, the other change we had discussed was allocating funds in the fund balance account to Public Works for road supplies. That is an interesting way to account for this. That $600,000 allocation that was specified for roads, I was expecting to handle it in the financial statements as a designated account. After consultation with Linda and Jennifer, they recommended putting it in road supplies. What that's going to do is that number is now going to change the fund balance withdrawal to $1.7 million. So I'm sure we'll have robust discussion when Dr. Hersey gets to his point of why stick that money in the Public Works account when, number one, I don't know I can spend down all $600,000 each and every year. There are a myriad of factors. Nobody's paving in the rain. We don't have the asphalt plant up and running yet. We have staff shortfalls. We have other emergencies that pop up. And if we do capture a $700,000 LMIG allocation, which is pretty normal year in and year out, the match on that's $210,000. So that could, just be a journal entry out, but putting it in this account will skew the fund balance from $1.1 million to $1.7 million. So I understand that was your ordinance. You wanted it in a special account. I wanted it in as a financial statement. entry that would have been designated, but that's the ramifications of putting it in the fund balance. We now go from a $1.1 million fund balance withdrawal to a $1.7 million fund balance withdrawal. With that, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, no other comments from staff, correct? Okay, comments. Commissioner Hersey, I see you raising your hand.
Question. Why is the library in the special service district? I mean, are city residents not allowed to use the library?
The library, it was put in there originally. I don't recall why it was put in there.
Let's take it out. Special service district is services that are provided to the unincorporated area and not to the city of Eatonton. All right.
So
the library seems to me to be a countywide facility. I mean, everybody's welcome to use it.
I believe we make a donation. Now, the city operates the building and everything else, so.
I don't care.
Fair enough.
So let me just, I appreciate the fact that Jennifer or Linda or whoever has specified that the $600,000 for roads be taken out of the fund balance, and therefore there'll be a $1.7 million debit of the fund balance in the proposed budget. I think that folks ought to be aware of that. And the proposal for the $600,000 per year for roads was predicated on that within 90 days of the passage of that agenda item, that each of the commissioners come back with a list of the roads and I have no idea what it's going to cost per mile to do these roads, but I assume that there are sufficient roads in each of the 4 districts, with the possible exception of District 2, which seems to have all of your roads paved. Is there one that isn't? There's several that we share.
Simply
I know
because
that,
the city,
but
city council most of my roads. That's why.
I'm sure that the list of roads from each of the district commissioners will far exceed that $600,000 per year. And I also would anticipate that any commissioner can bank the their share of the $600,000 over 2 years or 3 years or however they wish in order to get a longer stretch of road paved. But that $600,000 a year is going to come out of the fund balance, and I thank Jennifer or whoever decided on that. This whole business is really Jennifer, Linda, Paul. You've done a great job of trying to balance this budget with the least amount of fund balance being used and staying within at least for the general fund, staying within the rollback rate. And I applaud you for doing that. I don't know how long you're going to be able to do that, though. We're just sort of kicking the can down the road. Our expenditures, and as Larry Kudlow would say, government spending is taxation. Our expenditures are up 6.3% this year over last, and are going to continue to climb, I'm sure. And we just have to find some other way of paying for the necessary services that we provide. And so, I'm hoping that maybe we can consider something like a very large increase in fees, or perhaps instituting impact fees. As this county grows, our ability to keep up with the infrastructure necessary to support that growth is just going to cause us, I mean, we'll have no choice but to increase taxes and not stay with the rollback rate. So again, I think you've done a great job, and I would compliment you. The one thing that I am a little bit wary of is moving the Public Works Roads and Bridges designation to a T-SPOS fund. I don't know how long we're going to be able to do that. The original T-SPOS number 2 did not provide for any public works provision. It simply provided that there was a list of roads, and I'm sure you're well aware of that list of roads to be paved or repaired in some fashion. Thursday, we will get bids on, I guess Thursday, we'll get bids on about 25 miles of additional roads that were covered under T-SPOS number 2. The best I can guesstimate is that we have somewhere around $51 million worth of expenditures, but only about $48 million worth of revenues to pay for those. I don't know how long.
You said 51 million or 48 million?
51 million in expenditures versus 48 million in revenues, yes. Somewhere in the future, things are going to catch up with us. I don't, unless we somehow cut expenditures in some other area. I mean, I don't see leaving public works, roads and bridges, filling, replacing culverts or patching potholes in a T-SPOS referendum. I mean, and T-SPOS number 3 coming up in the spring, voters are going to vote for their road to get paved. They're not going to vote for paying salaries to public works to, so I think we by continuing to do that, to leave that in that allocation in the T-SPOS, we're jeopardizing the vote to continue that T-SPOS. I think everybody is in agreement that you need to tell people exactly what you're going to spend their money for if they vote to tax themselves. So are they going to vote to pay public works salaries? I don't know. Maybe.
Commissioner Garrett.
Thank you.
I want to second Commissioner Hersey's appreciation for staff's attempts to balance the budget, and I have some clarifying questions. And first, a question for the attorney. So this notion that we have the flexibility to transfer from the general fund to T-SPOS personnel costs associated with roads, etc. I mean, my understanding as a layman is that T-SPOS is for capital expenditure, but I understand there's some flexibility, but I don't know how far that flexibility extends, so I would appreciate a legal opinion on that.
So T-SPOS is a little different than your normal SPOS. There are some cost put into it, but I would have to give I don't want to give it to you off the cuff without having the law in front of me. I can give you that opinion, but I would want to look over it first before I said. I know in SPOS you can't. SPOS has to be tied to a specific project. T-SPOS, there is more flexibility, but I don't know that I can articulate it here tonight in a way that would be sufficient. but I certainly can get back to you on that.
Okay, I'd appreciate that. And then just a question for Paul and Jennifer. For the non-accountants in the room, which includes me, just revisit, Paul, what you were saying about the option to classify the 600,000 a year we voted on to take from the fund balance for roads, to formally have it come out of the fund balance and have that represented versus the alternative.
So what I was hoping for was that we have a list on the financial statements that say fund balance, ad valorem, property tax relief. There's a list on there that says, there's like 4 or 5 things in there.
Right, so to speak on.
It's your turn.
Put your mic on.
To speak on that, though, it has to be through a resolution, is what Linda and I were discussing. So in order for it to be put in our financial statements as restricted, assigned, unassigned, committed, those various different categories, it has to be done through a resolution through you all. And so it pretty much like it's saying the future use of our fund balance, these items are in that future use versus budgeting it.
Okay, so the distinction would be, on the first scenario, you essentially leave it in the fund balance and count it as fund balance dollars. The other option is you formally withdraw it and the fund balance formally shrinks.
That's it.
Okay. But the Commissioner Hersey, are you arguing that to formally withdraw it from the balance is more transparent and therefore that's the right way to go?
Let me clarify 2 things. Number one, and in terms of the fungibility of T-SPOS funds, I have been told, and I was involved in the origination of the T-SPOS very much, but I've been told by experts at the very beginning that anything GDOT does, you can do under a T-SPOS. So if GDOT pays salaries for their people to mow the grass along the side of the road, you can spend the money to do that, and we do. If GDOT doesn't contract to put in a culvert or patch a pothole, but has their own people do it, then we can do it. So it just seems to me that we are legally okay with transferring it. My question really is, will the voters approve a continuation of that scenario as opposed to spending that money to actually pave a road? I don't know. So it would just, and again, it is not a legal opinion, but I am comfortable with the ability of it to switch over and to use that, at least the excess collections beyond paving of the roads that the voters were promised. Because if we do not pave those roads that the voters voted for, then we are in violation of the voters' will, and that would not be a good thing.
I do have one more thing about the SSD in the library. The board approved that with our consultant Doug Eves back in the day, so when the SSD was set up, our consultant, Mr. Eves, put that out there and y'all ratified it.
Commissioner McElhaney.
Yes, Paul, good job. Y'all appreciate what y'all have done with that. I certainly wouldn't have wanted to do that. And I appreciate you're trying to balance everything and make it work. There are many ways to skin the cat, so to speak, and I think you guys have done a pretty good job with that. I agree with Commissioner Hersey that, we do see expenses trending up, and you gotta have a way to pay for that because nobody wants you to restrict services because you don't have money. So how do you pay for that? You either increase taxes, which nobody wants, or you find some creative solutions like impact fees, as Dr. Hersey suggested. I would tend to agree with that. Most every other municipality around the state does some form of that. So I would certainly be glad to entertain that. Or you do it through sales tax. So I think the public has to understand, if you continue to want the services that you want, we got to raise the money somehow. And nobody wants your property taxes to increase, myself absolutely included. So I think we've got to understand what we got to have and how we're going to pay for it. Again, Paul, thank you and your staff for doing a great job with that. I appreciate it.
And Commissioner Garrett, I'm sorry, Mr.
Yes,
Chairman.
go ahead.
I've looked into the question. There's a certain amount of program management that's allowed to be allocated for projects, which is a little different than how SPLOS works. So I have no reason to think that wouldn't be included in the expenses that have been laid out. So that's OCGA 488260, the definition that allows for transportation projects. It does include that portion in there. So it is a little different than SPLOST. Obviously, you couldn't fund the entire, it has to be related to a project, but.
Okay, Lynn, did anybody sign in from the public? That's number 9. We have 4 people signed in, so we will start with Bill Vargo. You have passed. Barb Vargo.
First of all, this is not easy. Coming down from what they did, from what they were requesting, this is not easy. It's not easy for you guys. It's not easy for the finance department. I know. So I have to thank you guys for what you're trying to do. My question is, kind of dumb questions here. On T-Splosh, did we not, for the people, say we were going to use this for the roads and not for, let's just switch this account, this personnel and this personnel? You know, we don't really see the expenses because all we see is expense. When we see the financials for the T-Splosh, we don't see exactly what you're putting in there, okay? Accounting this and accounting that, but I do not believe that anything but on T-Splosh should go for anything right at the moment, because we put a bond on it, should go for anything but the roads. So, you know, if this is what you've done with this, I think. And as far as the unincorporated, okay, he's right about the library, and I remember when this thing got all developed, but everybody's using our convenience centers too. I don't care if you're commercial or not, they're coming in. So why is the SSD getting charged everything for the convenience centers? I don't think that's fair. I've seen people from the city, I've seen HUD, and everybody in there dumping. So we're paying for a lot we shouldn't be paying for. And, you know, I think we should reallocate a portion of what's in these SSD for these dumps to someplace else. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Next on the list is Billy Webster.
Chairman, Commissioners, staff again. I do have a chart that I'd like to talk to if I could. It's one that has already been presented, but this one has a little bit more information on it. You may have a little trouble reading that, so let me read part of it for you. If you look back in 2021, the revenue was at $20.3 million. It's proposed for 27. That means revenue over those years has increased by $7 million. If you look at the expenditures, it has gone up by $10 million. So that's a deficit of $3 million. So in other words, your expenditures are far outweighing your revenue. And if that trend continues, as y'all have pointed out, you're going to have to figure something out. Y'all talk about ways that you might be able to bring that into focus. You left out one thing, you can cut expenditures, that would also help. But there is one thing that's missing, and I had not realized it until this discussion, is that the proposed 2026 expenditure, that figure, while correct, is not representative. Because apparently about $1 million of expenditures has now been moved into a capital account. The other years had it in this account. So if you actually want to do apples to apples, the expenditure is now more like $29.5 million equivalent, which means that your expenditures have exceeded your revenue by over $4 million. I would suggest you do a hard look going forward, because you cannot continue to have this type of expenditures with this kind of revenue coming in. And I'd also like to make a comment about the Special Service District. We do out in the Special Service District, we are funding people that live in the city. Thank you.
Next on the list is Charles Ray. Charles? He passed, okay. That will conclude the comments from the public. I will now close the budget public hearing and open the road abandonment public hearing.
Mr. Chairman, may I make a request of I guess of Jennifer or the Finance Committee? We have a capital fund, is that correct? Which was just mentioned by a member of the public. Could you possibly, or maybe with Wynn, find out when the county commission actually created a capital fund by resolution? I'm not asking for you to do it immediately. Just at some point, could you let me know, the date of the commission meeting in which the capital fund was created by a resolution?
Yes, sir. I'll get with Linda tomorrow and I will give you an answer.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're on the road abandonment public hearing. Item number 10. This is a proposed abandonment of Joe Wooten Road. Lynn, is there anyone signed in? No one has signed in. This is step 4 of 6 in the road abandonment process for both of these roads. This is to receive comments from the public only. No action will be taken. So was there anybody signed in to talk about number 11? So no one has signed in on either one, and therefore no action will be taken tonight, and we'll move to step 5. Is that good, Mr. Attorney? Item number 12 is public comments.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Point of personal privilege, maybe we take about a 5-minute recess?
Can we do one thing and then do it?
Well,
Can I approve the public agenda, consent agenda? I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. I've got regular business coming. I'm sorry. Yes, we can take a 10-minute break. We will return at 8 o'clock sharp. I need to